What is something about yourself that is completely true, but that nobody would believe? I switched my handedness from right to left, and I'm now left-handed. My dad did that. Granted, it was involuntary. He broke his right arm as a kid and his teacher gave him no exemptions or assistance. So he had to learn to write with his left. Now he's left-handed with a hint of ambidextrousness. When I was in high school, a random new kid started stalking me, like following me home from school. I'd see him outside my house. He'd stand by my locker at school. He was weird. Told my counselor, but they didn't really believe me. Told a teacher I was close with, and he talked to the principal. They said they'd watch out. After about a week, my boyfriend was pissed the school wasn't helping me. He confronted this kid and they almost physically fought. Finally, he got kicked out of school, and about a month later, less than 3 miles from my house, he strangled a girl my age, who also went to my school, and dumped her body in a field. All my family has pretty cool middle names, and when people are like, "What's your full?" I get to my middle name, which is Thunderstorm, and they just don't believe me until I get someone in my family to back me up. I have the same problem. Lots of people tend to ask me what's my middle name, which is Hero, and they always are like, "You're making that up." Tell me the truth, even my teachers did this. My friend's first name is Hero. Imagine how he feels. He's Japanese, so I guess most people should understand it's not an uncommon name in Japan, but a surprising amount of people don't know that. I grew up on a tiny island, unrelated to Africa. Nelson Mandela held my hand and walked me to school as his plane refueled there. That really sounds like the most random made-up story. In 1982 I met and had a long conversation with Joe Perry, the guitarist for Aerosmith, in a bar. I told him what kind of guitar I was playing at the time. He said he had one somewhere up north at a girlfriend's house, but never played it. I told him he should find it. A few months later his new album came out, and he was holding the guitar. In 1996 I jammed on stage with Tommy Chong. Both of my parents have a twin sister named Jenny. Peter Gabriel complimented me on my guitar playing when I was 5. I can't tell faces apart, and I can't picture people I know in my mind. Not even close family members. If I try really hard, the most I get is a very blurry image. If someone changes their hairstyle, or if I see them out of the context that I usually see them in, then I can't recognize them. Prosopagnosia. I can barely remember details past a few months ago. I have essentially no recollection of what things look like. Big events and things like that work fine, but details are gone, and half the time I can't tell if I actually remember something, or I remember someone telling me about something. Gang members tried to rob me, and I told them no. I was alone in downtown Minneapolis and 2 Bloods tried to rob me, but I laughed and said I don't have money on me because so many people see a skinny white guy and try to rob me. I was lying, and I don't know why I reacted that way. One of them stared at me for like 5 seconds, then said, "Okay, you're cool," and they walked away. Minneapolis doesn't have nearly as much of a gang problem now, but definitely did then. This happened when there was a parking lot across 7th Street from 1st Avenue, the club where Purple Rain was partly filmed. More detail if you want it. The first one asked for money, and I said I didn't have cash. The second appeared out of nowhere. Like suddenly his face was right next to mine, and he said, "I don't think you heard him. He said he wants your money." People robbing you? Just say no. Robbers can't legally rob you without your consent. I never forget names or faces. Like ever. I realized this nearly 2 decades ago working at a telemarketing company. I never forgot a name, and to this day, can think of several names I encountered that stood out. Later I worked at a nightclub, and one day this couple came in. We'll call them Steve and Mindy. We chatted for about a minute or 2. 3 years later Mindy runs into the bar hollering that someone assaulted her boyfriend. I said, "Oh no. Is Steve okay?" She looked at me like she's seen a ghost, and I did think, oh, she's probably surprised I remember them. Later she asked how I could remember them, and I just said that I never forget anyone I meet and have any substantial interaction with. I just don't forget names or faces ever. Almost 100% of the time they are permanently etched into my memory. Don't remember birthday or what day of the week it is, and after 6 years still don't have my plates memorized, but duck it. If we met one time for 5 minutes 20 years ago, I still remember you. Weird but true. I married really young and my ex-husband ended up killing several people during our marriage. I had to separate from my daughter for our protection because he was still at large. After 9 years, I finally reconnected with her. People think I abandoned her, but as long as she knows differently, that's all that matters. We are safe and out of his reach now, and I couldn't be happier. I hope your name doesn't check out. After multiple times going, I've never lost in Las Vegas. This is barely related, but you reminded me. The Science Museum by me has a machine that's supposed to demonstrate probability. It's basically a plinko board. A ball drops and bounces off pegs, and you're supposed to guess what slot it'll land in. I guessed right and refused to ever try it again, because I'm imperfect at guessing it. I jumped out from a moving bus to escape kidnapping. People usually don't believe when I say I can tie my shoelaces while riding a bicycle. And yes, I need 2 hands for that. I can stop hiccuping by force of will. Is it possible to learn this power? I technically kidnapped my would-be mugger, bought him breakfast, helped him through rehab, getting a job, and eventually was the best man at his wedding. He's been clean on the straight and narrow now for 10+ years. My family ended up on the West Coast because Al Capone was rubbed the wrong way by my granduncle. He was murdered while visiting my great-grandpa's farm. I happened to look out the window at work and saw the end of a high-speed chase resulting from a botched bank robbery. 3 were killed. I can tell what people are eating through the phone. I don't know why, but this one is my favorite. I was the guy who microwaved an entire carton of eggs in the microwave in the break room last month. One of my grandma's cousins was assassinated. Not murdered. Assassinated. I escaped a carjacking attempt by the Gulf Cartel. If you're ever in an area with gang activity, make sure you're driving the shittiest vehicle. Through life I have held steady jobs as an opera singer, forensic psychologist, waiter, cleaner, and editor/translator/proofwriter, in that order. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.